Welcome into the Slobber Knocker Sports Podcast, episode number 80, as we are here today to talk everything, recapping the NFL draft. We'll catch up on the NBA playoffs. We will do some 2-minute drill. Got a bad beat in the NBA playoffs to go over. Got some really exciting finishes. The NBA and NHL playoffs have been phenomenal so far. We've had some really good games. Even though there's only one series in the NBA that is tied 2 games apiece, the games and the quality of play has been pretty darn good. We've had some exciting hockey games as well. I'll let Uncle T touch on the hockey.
Well, I was going to just say that as much as...
Well, not right now, but I just mean yeah.
As much as an NBA hater as I am, and we've known that, I'm coming around because the games are officiated the way they should be officiated. The guys are actually allowed to play. We're not seeing 50 free throws a game. And it's refreshing to see. The games are actually watchable now. It's not regular season basketball. I mean, they're still firing the threes up every time down the court, but there's a little bit more actual basketball being played, except by the Miami Heat, who were ready to go on vacation yesterday, who lost by how many?
They lost by 55.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I just know I sent you the score in the third quarter, and it was 90-45. They were doubled up in the third quarter.
That was one of the more embarrassing performances by an NBA team I've seen in a very long time. They straight quit in the second quarter.
And I told you off air, my idea going into next year, if I'm the commissioner, you're making your own rules. If you lose by more than 30, your game check goes to the other team.
I like it. I think that's a good idea. You have guys playing hard late if you're down by 25, 30. Well, you're not going to get 50-point blowouts in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's just getting... And I get that, sometimes in the regular season, guys are, load management and all the other things that are wrong with the NBA in the regular season. But it's just, I get that those guys don't want to go back to Cleveland. Not like they were going to win the game anyway, right? But, that was just an absolute, there was zero effort out there.
No, It was really, really bad. They were making fun of him at halftime on Inside the NBA because Bam Adebayo before the game said, we're going to go down swinging. And Charles is like, this is how he's swinging, and he's like patty whacking.
I saw that.
It was pretty funny.
Pretty damn funny.
Let's do some 2-minute drill here. I've got a couple of things here. We're going to start with the best thing I saw this week, which we haven't really done a ton lately, but I want to start, and it's an NBA playoff highlight. So we're going to go to the Nuggets-Clippers series, which has been the best series. We had one blowout, but the other 3 games have been phenomenal, and we're going to go to the fourth quarter here where the Denver Nuggets were up by 22 in the fourth quarter in LA trying to even the series at 2 games apiece. You're going to see right here Nikola Jokic put a hook shot up and in, and they're up 87-65 with 11 minutes to go in the game, right? We're going to fast forward a little bit here. The Clippers were starting to cut into it. They had it down to 13 with 5.5. Norman Powell going to bang a right slot 3.
He made a ton of threes down the stretch in this game. Look at Ballmer. Look at Ballmer.
That's your guy right there, man.
God, I love Steve.
Then we're gonna fast forward here to the end of the game. All right, so LA comes all the way back. They actually took the lead, and then didn't show it, but Jokic hit an absurd turnaround fadeaway jump shot to put the Nuggets back up by 2. Harden gonna drive in here, miss the shot, but Zubac gonna put it up and in with the putback, and we're tied at 99. Ballmer absolutely loving it. Going nuts. He was like a fan in a college basketball game, taunting or yelling at a guy shooting free throws when Jokic was up there at the free throw line.
That's what it's all about. You own the team. You get to do what you want to do. That's the passion I like to see from an owner right there.
That's one of the funniest things, that the way he acts in games in public is pretty fucking awesome. Like, it borders the way I act in my own house in a Longhorn football game.
Yeah.
Which I would never do in front of anybody who I didn't know very well. That's what he does the entire game.
Right. We're going to have to get some of those meltdowns on film next year. They could go viral.
They definitely could. I lose my fucking mind. So, all right. Pick it up now. 8 seconds to go. All right. 8 seconds to go. It's 99-99 here. And they're going to get in Nikola Jokic, and he's going to basically hold it really too long and spin and launch this shot. And out of nowhere comes Aaron Gordon. I said it was good right away. I didn't realize it was as close as it was. Legitimately, we're going to see the replay here. I don't know if I've ever seen a buzzer-beating shot in any game, let alone a playoff game, this close. You're slowing it down frame by frame here, and you really aren't sure if the ball's off his hands. And so, it took 7-8 looks for us to be like, I'm pretty sure that's good. I will say this. they counted this good on the floor. And we were kind of talking, watching the game, because we watched this game together, and we said, this look right here, by the way, is the best one. But even there, like, it's really hard to...
Yeah, it would have been really interesting if they called it no good on the floor. What would have happened?
So that's my point, is I almost think that in this situation, because really, I didn't see anybody signal the basket was good, and then Reggie Miller said that one of the officials did indeed say it was good on the floor. I almost think that they went back and looked at it and did what they really should do in a situation like that, which is just look at it and say, which is more likely? Did he get it off or not?
Right.
Because when it's that close to me, I don't know. I guess I just think on the floor, it's kind of, you're flipping a coin here. So just look at it. And to me, we kind of both were like, I think he got it off. Like, I think everybody would say it's like a 90% sure he got it off. And maybe even more. I mean, there's one last look on that one where I was like, maybe it's still on his fingers, but it looks like it's good. And
to me,
good.
Even if it still is on his fingers, like on that one shot, it looks like it's below, like it's already like through, in the sense that it's like past the rim. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's like
it's a good point, because
like right. Even, if you're making the argument that obviously...
See, like right there, I think it's off his fingers.
Yeah, it's off his fingers. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not technically all the way in either. I mean, there's a little bit of
rule of that is, too, because,
I have no idea.
It's like if it's all the way through, but his finger's still on it, does it count? I don't know. Literally, you're talking 1/1000th of seconds. Breaking this down, I mean, they're shooting in probably 60 frames per second. So you're looking at 1/60th of a second each frame, and it's still hard to tell.
The funniest thing that happened with this, too, and I don't know if I told you this, and God knows how much Big Cat's betting these days, because this is a wild bet. He showed the ticket. You see it?
Yeah.
So Stephen Shea, who always comes with like random props, he's actually over the course. He's the producer for the Yak on Barstool, but he always comes up with random like props or like stuff that thinks he thinks it has value, and typically it does. He's a pretty smart guy.
By the way, that one had no value. That was a horrible bet.
I don't know about that one, but
the
like other
35 to 1 that there'd be an actual playoff buzzer beater. That was what it was. 35 to 1.
Oh, in this series.
No, overall. 35 to 1 that there's not just a game winner, that there's a shot where the time expires and somebody wins on the shot.
Oh, okay.
To me, there's no way. To me, that's 100 to 1. How often do we see an actual buzzer beater in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not one in every 35 games. It's one in every 200 games, maybe.
You'd have to look at the ticket again. I'm pretty sure it was only for this series, too, because that's what they were talking about.
For this series, that's even fucking worse.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, he always posts his prop record online, and it's pretty good. He's definitely up money like the last few years with his props that he does. But anyway, it was just hilarious to see Big Cat's reaction of it. 3,000 to make 90-something thousand.
And apparently he was really mad that
his other he had two others that lost, and he's like, this one doesn't win.
Yeah, and the odds of that one winning, I mean, were almost zero. If it was on this series, that's even crazier, because for it to be, I think that's all it was, right? Yeah, you said 3,000 to win 90. So yeah, it was 30 to 1. It was 30 or 35 to 1.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a horrible
Crazy
odds regardless. Anyway, okay. So after the game, in the post-game interview, was just absolute gold.
So did Jokic just walk straight back to the locker room, or did he stay out there for the review?
No, so he walked to the bench, and I don't show it on here, but they did ask him what was going through his mind, and he's like, I don't want to get too high, too low. I didn't know. I knew it's close. I didn't know it's that close, so I just wait till we win, and then I go high. And it's like, and he never celebrated even when they announced it. Right? He didn't do anything.
Gave a couple high fives and walked to the back.
Yeah. So here's the post-game interview.
They're calling this the first playoff buzzer-beating dunk in NBA history. What does it feel like to make a shot like that?
It's a nice pass.
Yes.
So, Joker, was it a pass?
No. Actually, guys, I don't know how you're familiar with EuroLeague. Teodosic made the exact same, like he missed a ball and Josh Trillers came and picked up, and they won Final Four. I think it was semifinals it was CSK against Partizan. Yeah, long time ago. Maybe I can help you guys write the story.
Nikola, what was going through your mind when you let that shot go at the end?
This is going to be bad.
That's hilarious.
They're actually good buddies. Like, I think Aaron Gordon went with him to Where is he from? Again, Serbia. He went with him to Serbia over the summer after they won the championship and was like partying with him and his family and his brothers in Serbia. Like Aaron Gordon went over there with him.
Wow.
They're, like, actually pretty good buddies.
Oh, we'll have to plug the video on here because I see Anthony Edwards right there. We'll have to plug the video on there. I saw one of the funniest clips I've ever seen in my entire life of Charleston White losing his mind. You know, he always has some good clips, and he ranked his top three people of all time, and it was Jesus Christ, Martin Luther King, and Anthony Edwards is number 3. And it's a hilarious minute clip.
Yeah, that's Anthony Edwards.
We'll have to plug that in. It is unbelievable.
Anthony Edwards is growing on me, I will say.
And don't forget the biggest Anthony Edwards fan of all, our good friend Jeff Vexler, who likes that he impregnates 6 to 7 randos a year and wants nothing to do with his babies because guess what? He don't want it to get in the way of basketball. And you can respect it's a wild take. I've had some wild ones on here. That one was an interesting one.
Let's be fair. Vex did say if he was employing them and the options were to have a bunch of kids and not be around or have a bunch of kids in your house that you're raising, that he would prefer them to all be estranged children.
Right.
That was...
Wants to make sure Anthony Edwards...
don't take it out of context.
Well...
Okay.
Allegedly.
It's
an easy thing to take in context.
Okay, let's just go straight into the NBA playoffs. It's a good place to start. We will talk NFL draft. By the way, if you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, if you tuned into our live stream of the NFL draft, thanks for joining us. We had a good time on there breaking down the first round. I thought it went well. We didn't do a ton of preparation for it and kind of winged it last minute. Bailey was helping me set it up, and Turner was out of town. And
don't do me a disservice. There was zero preparation done.
Okay, I did preparation. You did none. I made a lot of the graphics.
I came in hot from Pluckers, had to set up the computer. Technology was giving me a problem.
Yeah, technology does give you problems. We had a lot of good series. Well, let's start because we already talked about, or we already saw the end of Game 4. Nuggets Clippers. That's been the best series so far. It's the only one that's tied 2 games apiece. Obviously, we saw the end of the game, the Aaron Gordon buzzer-beating dunk. We got 2-2 now. We're going back to Denver. Game 5 is tonight. This episode will obviously not be out. By the time that game is over, we will not have this episode out. But I do want to talk about it, knowing we're going into Game 5 tonight. At the time we're talking about this being tied 2-2, who has the advantage here? Did the Nuggets? I think the Clippers have probably looked a little bit better, especially with the way Kawhi has played in the playoffs.
Kawhi's back, baby.
Well, I don't know about that, but he has played well.
The claw is back.
Well, he's been back for 4 games. We'll see if he can make it through the whole series.
No, that leg is going to flare up.
We're going to see a knee contusion, and he'll be out.
And by the way, can you have a little professional courtesy and turn your fucking ringer off over there, Grandpa?
Look.
My God, I'm trying to work here. Kawhi Leonard's back, obviously.
Who has the advantage?
The claw's back. They're back in Denver, right, with home court?
2 games of the 3 are going to be in Denver.
Here's the thing, and I hate to say this about the bearded monster because I am a bearded monster man through and through. He has a knack for choking away playoff series and not getting it done. And then it's 50-50 if Kawhi Leonard just decides he doesn't want to play Game 7 with leg soreness or something. Literally, like, he might make it through the next 3 games, but it really is probably 50-50. So I'm going to say the Nuggets win the series because they're at home. They got the home court is what I'm saying at this point. I just think that either way, the series goes 7. Don't think the Clippers have if they come in here and win tonight, they don't have the cojones to take them out Game 6. So I think it's going to go to Game 7, and ultimately you'll see the Nuggets win the series.
Weirdly, I actually think whoever this isn't a hot take. No. I think obviously whoever wins tonight will win the series. But Denver could easily still lose it if they win tonight. I think if the Clippers win tonight, they definitely win the series. But what I was trying to say was, I think if the Clippers weirdly win tonight, I don't think it will go 7. I think the Clippers will close it out in Game 6. If Denver wins tonight, I actually think they're going to win Game 6 in LA. I think this is not going to go 7. I think that whoever wins tonight is going to win in 6 was what I was trying to say.
Got it.
So I could be dead wrong. This definitely does feel like a 7-game series, right? But just you kind of touched on it, right? James Harden disappears a lot in the playoffs. He has 1 great, phenomenal game and then 2 bad games, right? Kawhi, we don't really know what we're getting with Kawhi. I mean, he looks to be back, but even last game, he wasn't quite as good. He's kind of tailed off the last two. He had one game where it was like, oh, this is prime. Like,
oh, yeah, game 2 is like 39
yeah,
points.
it was like, I mean, he was like, 11 of, or he was like 13 of 17 from the floor, right? Just like unbelievable from three. He looked like what he did the end of the healthy spurt with the Spurs and into the time with the Raptors, which we haven't seen in half a decade because he's just been fucking injured the entire time. When he is that level, he is a top 3 player in basketball. I mean, arguably, you have Nikola Jokic on the floor, who is the best player on the planet. When Kawhi is playing like that, and as much as this pains me to say, he might be the best player on the planet. Like, truly, when he is healthy and engaged and he's shooting the ball like that, I don't know if I'd rather have anybody else. He's literally willed a team to a championship. He's won 2 titles, had 2 finals MVPs, and he's barely played the years that he's not made it there, right? A lot of the times he's been injured. Now, obviously, that's a big part of it, and I can't stand Kawhi Leonard, but he's playing phenomenal. That said, I will say, this is such the tonight and the whole series is a coin flip. I mean, it really is. I have no idea who's going to win tonight. I think Denver probably has a slight advantage being at home. I think the Clippers are playing slightly better basketball. I don't like Jamal Murray. He's played terrible in this series. He's shot it poorly. He's turned it over too much. Russell Westbrook's injured. Make fun of him all you want. That's a key piece of their depth. And the reason it is the guys we saw come in the game in game 4.
Oh, yeah.
Was like he put 2 guys in who don't play normally.
Misfit toys.
Yeah, I mean, one of the guys.
Who the hell are these guys?
One of the guys, I forgot his name. They put him in. And within 45 seconds, had to pull him out. It was like a high school coach giving a kid a shot who doesn't normally play. And it was like, oh, no, he quickly realized, like, this guy can't be out there. They have no depth after that. So Russell Westbrook's health is an issue. I just think there's a lot of factors that could go either way. It's a coin flip. I think the Nuggets win tonight and win in 6. You're probably more likely going to be right, and it's going to go 7. But I'm going to say Nuggets win tonight, and they actually finish it off game 6. I think something's going to happen. I think James Harden is going to have a bad night or a bad couple games, or Kawhi is going to get injured. Zubac's been playing really well, and I don't know if that's going to continue. Like, it's kind of abnormal how good he's played. But yeah, I like the Nuggets to win tonight and win the series. But I think it's legitimate coin flip, right? Anything else you got on that series?
No, not besides Kawhi Leonard just balling. But we'll see. Like I said. He'll probably he will probably go down with an injury here pretty soon.
Very likely. Okay, let's go to the Lakers T-Wolves. So you picked the T-Wolves, right? Pre-series?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I picked the Lakers. If I had to switch right now, would I switch to the T-Wolves? Yes. Look, Minnesota's been the better team. This hasn't been a fluke. They've been the better team the whole series, right? With the exception of game 2. But I want to take a look real quick at the end of game 4 because this to me determined the series. This is what LeBron, I think, has come back from a 3-1 deficit once ever, and it was in the NBA Finals. Yep. Besides that, every single time he's had it, he's lost. And
I'm no LeBron fan, but to be fair to LeBron, when you're down 3-1, most time you don't win.
No, I'm not shitting on him for that. I'm just saying it's unlikely going to happen.
Right.
And so let's take a look. So into the game here, this was a heck of a game. The shot making back and forth at the end of the game was phenomenal. Now, to point against LeBron here, LeBron had like 30 in this game. He didn't score in the fourth quarter and took 2 shots. And he took a 3 with about a minute to go when they were up by 1. That was like 4 feet behind the line. He hadn't made a shot the whole quarter. It wasn't close. And Minnesota went down and took the lead after that. So he did not play well in the fourth quarter. He then, with 33 seconds to go, was inbounding it here. There was a play before this where Luka was dribbling up the floor and he got tripped. He probably did get fouled. They didn't call it. And in the NBA, it's not like college where right now we're looking at this. There's 17 on the shot clock. They have to get this across by 15 or it's an 8-second call. They don't get to reset it. So if you throw it in the backcourt here, you have 2 seconds to get it over. So they're trying to get it in here. Minnesota's up 1, 33 seconds to go. LeBron's going to inbound it, and he's going to make a really poor pass here to Luka, and it's going to get knocked away and stolen. He should have let him into the backcourt because you can go into the backcourt. Now,
yeah, that was a bad pass.
Final possession. This is where the controversy happens. I don't know if you saw the end of this game, and I don't even think this is controversy, but Anthony Edwards with it, 19 seconds to go. They're going to double him here. They were doubling him and blitzing him the entire night. They get it back to him here on Dante DiVincenzo driving, going to drop it off. Edwards in. All we see is the ball go out of bounds, and they call it off of him. But immediately you see Anthony Edwards calling for a challenge, and he's not saying the ball was off of LeBron.
He's saying it was a foul.
He's saying it was a foul. And keep in mind, this is a new rule this year in the NBA, right? And we saw this happen last year so many times. And as much as I dislike Adam Silver, credit to him for getting this fixed. Okay, because previous years you would have this challenge, and in this specific challenge, you're going to see Anthony Edwards here go up, okay, and LeBron's going to swipe right on his wrist. It's going to go out of bounds. It's clearly off Edwards, but it's clearly a foul.
Yeah,
and you could never change that before, but in this year they changed that rule, and they can now call that a foul in retrospect. So
it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, from me, and obviously they have all kinds of angles to see.
And I'm going to show you another one, but I'm just saying that's all we saw from viewer standpoint.
Right.
But to me,
here we go. Here's this
look,
angle.
you can see he doesn't touch the ball.
Yeah, he just
He's
slaps
all
him across the
arm,
wrist.
straight arm, out of bounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clearly a foul. Now, before that, Richard Jefferson's over there saying like, it's clearly off of the T-Wolves, no contact whatsoever, and it's whatever. Then they showed that angle, and he couldn't see it. So Anthony Edwards is going to go up. He's going to make both free throws here, okay? There's 10 seconds to go. Here's the other issue with what happened. So when that ball went off of Edwards, there was 10 seconds to go. The Lakers had the ball under their own basket. They called timeout to advance it. Minnesota then has 30 seconds within that timeout span to decide whether they want to challenge it. If an opposing team calls timeout, you have 30 seconds to decide. The problem with the rule is that once the T-Wolves decided to challenge it, the Lakers still lose their timeout if the T-Wolves win the challenge and get the ball back. What sucks about that is they now lose their ability to advance it here. I don't like that rule because they wouldn't have taken the timeout, right, had the foul been called.
Right.
So the officials making the mistake cost the Lakers using that timeout. They would not have used it. Regardless, there's 10 seconds to go. You foul here. You absolutely foul.
Yeah.
Like, there's 10 seconds to go. Maybe not immediately, but even if you foul immediately, they have no timeouts. And if it's 2 free throws either way, they're still having to inbound go the length of the floor.
I'd probably, try to foul when they get to mid-court.
Right. So, okay, and it's going to work out perfectly right there.
Yeah,
you can foul with 5.5 to go, and they don't. And you're going to see Julius Randle leave his man here and go to LeBron. And Reeves is going to get a good look and just miss it.
Yeah,
he had a great look. And that's it. And that call flipped it. Now, after the game, here's LeBron James.
Did you think that you hit enough of the ball and not enough of Ant's hand on the call that was overturned?
I mean, that play happens all the time. Hand is part of the ball. That's what they say. And, I feel like the hand was a part of that ball. I was able to get his hand on top of the ball stripped down and out on him. So I've seen that play over and over before, but it is what it is.
Sir, you can't argue with LeBron James, right?
I mean, he is the biggest bitch in the entire world. You're supposed to, he's like the self-proclaimed king and thinks he's the GOAT, and he's not even a top 5 all-time player. He's statistically sure, but he's not. You're never drafting that guy to win championships if you have an all-time draft. Regardless, he's in here sitting in the post-game interview acting like that was not a foul. I mean, I wish somebody would bring up the video in it and say, really? You hit the ball? You hit the hand? That was a bad look for LeBron, in my opinion. Not that it's anything surprising, because it's just what he does.
It's not surprising, but I knew the soft-ass Lakers wouldn't be able to beat the T-Wolves.
Can the Lakers come back from a 3-1
Fuck
deficit?
no. They're going to lose in 5.
They're going to lose in 5. They're going to lose in L.A. Game 5.
Yes.
Really?
They're favored by 5.5. They're going to fucking lose. I'm looking at it right now. They're losing.
Okay, question number 2.
I mean, if they win Game 5, they're going to lose in Game 6. They're not winning 2 in a row.
Okay, so question 2. Okay, let's say the Warriors do get through up 3-1. It's T-Wolves Warriors. Who gets to the Western Conference Finals?
The Warriors, who
Really?
I predicted, because I'm an NBA expert at the beginning of this, the Warriors are going to the Western Conference Finals, and they're going to lose to Oklahoma City.
I think I did too. I either said them or the Lakers. I might have said the Lakers.
You said the Lakers.
I might have said the Lakers. But I did say the Warriors would beat the Rockets.
Yeah, they're going to beat the Rockets, and then they'll beat the T-Wolves. The reason why they'll beat the T-Wolves is because Jimmy Butler is a dog just like Anthony Edwards, and you got to have a personality on your team like that to win a series against a guy like that, unless you're just like far more talented. But Jimmy Butler and Anthony Edwards will talk shit the entire series and go head-to-head, and that'll be a good matchup.
No, that actually will be a blast.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. And then obviously the Warriors have Curry, and the T-Wolves have nothing close to that. So
Will we have
I mean, Anthony Edwards is great. I'm just saying, besides you
No,
got
yeah,
Butler and Edwards, and obviously
2 versus 1.
and obviously Edwards at this point in his career is a little bit better than Jimmy Butler, obviously, but it's just the mentality of those two guys going head to head.
I will give it to Chris Finch. It only took him 4 fucking years to figure this out, but he's finally stopped playing Rudy Gobert more than 20 minutes a game, and Naz Reid finishes the games, and that's why they're winning this series.
Yeah.
Legitimately. They lost the Western Conference Finals last year because of his
of that.
fucking refusal
if they would have
to
played,
take him out.
if they would have played their small lineup, they would have beaten the Mavericks.
I think so too. Or at least it would have been a 7-game series, right? Like a lot of those games came down to the end. I mean, they legitimately lost the game single-handedly because he had Rudy Gobert in the game on the final possession. And they got him on a switch on Luka, and he hit the step back 3 to win the game and go up 3-1, right? Like that is 100% on Chris Finch. But to his credit, he at least adapted because a lot of coaches wouldn't. They would just stick to their guns, and he was able to do that. And
it's hard to sit down the defensive player of the year, Dylan. Okay.
Well, he's not. By the way, Draymond didn't win defensive player of the year. They gave it to Evan Mobley, despite being a heavy favorite. Okay, quickly, let's go Rockets Warriors, just because I want to go through one thing that happened there. Okay. I know I've got a lot of videos today, but it's just a lot of stuff happened in the NBA. I'm going to pull this up. So we're going to go game 4, which was last night. And it was in Golden State. Golden State won game 1 in Houston. Houston came back, wins game 2. It's 1-1. We watched game 3. Houston was up double digits in that game in the first half, 13 points, but the Warriors fought back. Curry caught fire in the second half. And even though they had no Jimmy Butler, they found a way to win. Now, I'm going to show you this, okay? So we're going to look at this play. This is with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter, okay? So that's what we're looking at, this second quarter. This is last night. We're going to see a Curry fall to the floor here, and then we're going to see a scuffle. And, of course, it's Dillon Brooks and Draymond Green here, okay? This is a simple scuffle, right? Nothing really happens. There's pushing back and forth.
I love the Boston College guy trying to get in there.
Post?
Yeah, Post. He's like, hey.
He's being the mediator, right? He's trying to break everybody up there. Okay, but they went to the monitors and they said there was 3 technical fouls called. There was 1 on Draymond, 1 on Steph, and 1 on Dillon Brooks. Okay. The reason that's important is because now Draymond Green has a technical foul in this game. So we're going to fast forward now, literally 4 minutes later. Okay. We're picking up 3 minutes to go in the second quarter. Same game here. Draymond Green has a technical foul. We're going to see this play in transition. Okay. And Draymond Green is going to get picked by Tari Eason. He's going to dive on him, tackle him, kick him in the head by accident. There's really nothing here, but we're going to have a scuffle again. Draymond is grabbing Tari Eason's jersey after the play, okay? And we're going to see the replay here. Udoka is already on the floor telling the official to go look at this, which they're going to, of course, because the NBA looks at everything. But if you fast forward here, you're going to see Draymond here legitimately grabbing his jersey, almost kicks him in the balls right there. The play was dead, okay? Whistles blown. That is a technical foul.
No, it's playoff basketball.
No, that's
we let the boys play.
That's a technical foul at every level, at any time. That is a technical foul. The definition of a technical is that it's a dead ball play. The whistle blew. It happened. The initial part, Draymond did nothing wrong. I don't think the kick, anything was intentional. The officials go to the monitor, and knowing that Draymond Green has a technical foul, they decide to give Tari Eason a dead ball technical, which makes no sense because the interaction for him happened after the play. That makes sense, but it makes no sense of what they did next. They then said Draymond gets a flagrant foul for kicking him in the head. A flagrant and a technical do not equate to 2 techs. Draymond gets to then stay in the game. And he's gonna play a role down the stretch here. You can see Draymond right here. I mean, he's on the bench almost basically laughing. He can't believe
Did Udoka lose his mind?
Yes, he was. I mean, they weren't showing it a bunch, but he was screaming at the official for like 2 minutes. It makes no sense. I mean, clearly he should have been ejected.
Yeah.
Right? This is Draymond Green. Look, I'm totally for it. Like, let's say there's a scuffle, right? We saw this happen in what game were we watching where there was guys? It was Denver and LA. I don't remember I think it was game. I don't know if it was game 2 or game 4, but there was it was game 4. It was the same game we just showed earlier. And Gordon gets into it with Harden because Harden took exception to a screen. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
And there was a scuffle, and there was like borderline punches thrown, but they were open hands. It's one scuffle, right? One thing happens, and they decide, look, we're not going to throw anybody out. There wasn't an actual closed fist punch.
Right.
We're just going to go tech here, move on from that, right? That's fine. This is 2 separate incidents, okay? And that's Draymond Green being Draymond Green and doing stupid shit like he always does. And he should be fucking penalized for it. And he wasn't. And then we're going to fast forward here, okay, to the last play of the game. And we'll talk about the last play of the game, but he's the one playing defense, the final play of the game here. And he comes up with the stop to win the game. So there's 19 seconds to go after a missed shot by Steph Curry. And Fred VanVleet is going to push it up and basically lose his footing here. and almost turns it over. Gets up
Ooh,
and they
slip and slide.
Yeah, they burn their last timeout. Okay, so they burn their last timeout with 13.1 to go. Udoka's going to draw something up, and I want to talk about this play, but just notice that Draymond is the main defender.
Playoff Jimmy had 27.
Yeah, and he didn't even play the last game. Okay, 13.1 to go here. All right, Brooks to inbound it here. They're essentially just going to get this to Alperen Sengun, and they're going to clear out. And they're going to go one-on-one against Draymond Green. And this is the shot they get.
Ooh.
And
that's that Euro floating hook, baby.
That was pretty bad. They end up fouling Butler. He makes both free throws. The Warriors actually decide not to foul here after the made free throw. And then I'll show this is the last play where they actually got a pretty good look for having to inbound at full court. I thought this went in at first.
Yeah.
It was short. Straight on line, just short.
Sengun had 31, but he was 12 of 28. He shot the ball a shit ton.
Yeah, okay, and here's my problem with it, and you tell me if you agree, okay? And this can lead us into a discussion, too, about the playoffs in general, because I think it's a good topic. And I know we got to get to NFL draft. I don't want to spend a million minutes on this, but look, Draymond Green, whatever you may think about him, and I dislike Draymond Green more than anybody, he's still a very, very good defender. He finished second or third in the Defensive Player of the Year voting, right? He's probably still a top 5 defender in the NBA. All right. How does he defend? He is extremely physical. That's been how he's always played. He is overly physical. He fouls you and gets away with it a lot of the time. But that's how he plays defense, and it's how he's been really good. Now, he's already also good at sliding his feet. He's very skilled defender, but he fouls. And in these playoffs, it's been the most physical NBA playoffs I've seen in the last decade. They have let a lot of contact go. So you're saying with the game on the line, as you just mentioned, Sengun's 12 of 28. Yeah, he's got 30 points, but he's not shot the ball efficiently. You're going to say, hey, with the game on the line, we're going to go one-on-one, and we're going to put the ball in Alperen Sengun's hands against Draymond Green, who no doubt is going to foul him. There was 0% chance Sengun was getting into the paint, right? Like more than a couple steps. He shot a floating one-foot or a one-hand floater from the free throw line, essentially, to win the game. Like not even looking at that specific shot, saying Sengun one-on-one against Green in a spread out to win the game, I would say you have a 20% chance of scoring there, right? That shot going up, I would say was more like 15 to 10% of going in. It had no shot to me. Like that was just complete luck. You'd have to just get completely lucky and get a lucky roll off the rim. I don't understand how Ime Udoka goes in the timeout and draws something up. And this leads me to my point with why I thought, and probably you did as well, that the Rockets weren't going to be able to win this series because they don't have a go-to guy, right? They just don't. Sengun is not a go-to NBA guy. They needed to run action, right? Like they don't have a Luka Doncic who you can just say, here, go score one-on-one. That's great if you have that. Jason Tatum, although he's kind of a choker, right? Jaylen Brown, guys like that, Jalen Brunson. If you have one of those guys and you want to clear out for them, sure, go ahead. That made no sense to me. You run action there. You get a look for even if you want to go to Sengun, put the Warriors in conflict. Set a ball screen, force them to switch, force them to run off some screens, and then look for whoever you want out of that action. You have 13 seconds to go. You have plenty of time.
Yeah, I just don't. Like you said, I mean, with the way they're officiating the games, it's a pretty terrible decision. To take it a step further, too, obviously not X's and O's wise, but it's like, even if he gets fouled there, in my opinion, I know he's a decent free throw shooter. In my opinion, there's no way he makes both of them.
And he was like 1 for 6 on the free throw line on the night.
Oh, was he?
He was missing
every.
He's normally a good free throw shooter, but he was missing every free throw, I believe. Yeah.
I think it was the game before he missed them all. He was 7 of 10 in this one, but my whole point is those free throws, he turns into, like, he missed the game before. He was 7 of 10 tonight. Those free throws, I would say he's a 60% free throw shooter at best, like making both of them. I don't think he does it. Even if they bail him out with a foul call, which they were never going to do in that situation, it had to be just like egregious. So, yeah, I don't know. I would have probably let Van Vliet set a screen for him and let him go and find somebody open or drive to the basket.
Yeah, I mean, I would have run some sort of action,
right.
Something.
Right.
If you want to get the ball to Sengun there in the block or in a face up, but run him off a screen or have him set a screen and break open. I just don't understand throwing it to him. Like, he's not that guy anyway. I don't know if you would you. My question is, had the Rockets run an ISO clear out for Sengun the entire series? Probably not. Not where you just give it to him at the top of the key or outside the 3-point line.
Right.
Maybe catching at the elbow, right? But I just don't get it.
Sengun would have been the perfect Spur. He just fits in perfect. The European model.
I swear we passed on him.
He went 16 overall to OKC in 2021.
Okay, real quick, let's go. We'll talk one series in the East because the rest of them are boring. we have the Bucks Pacers going on right now. Obviously, Damian Lillard ruptures his Achilles. Sucks for Dame, but the Bucks were probably going to lose that series anyway.
Yeah, I wonder how much basketball Dame. How many more years does he have in his contract? You have any idea?
I think he's got one more year, one or
then
two.
He'll probably just take that money and then. How old is he? 30.
Yeah, because he played at Weber State for I think multiple seasons. I don't think he came into the league at like 19.
No. He was like 21 or 22 when he came in.
Yeah, I think he played at Weber State for at least 2, if not 3 years. He's 34.
Yeah, I mean, I bet he plays one more year.
He played all 4 years at Weber State.
Yeah, I bet he plays one more year to get that money because it's an absurd amount of money. I think the contract, and then he calls it.
I mean, I would. And look, that's the injury that literally you just don't really come back from. You're at least not you're not the same. Even Kevin Durant, who's still been like pretty good to me since that rupture, has not been the same.
Yeah.
He's making 54 this year. Or I'm sorry, next year he'll make 54, and then he'll make 58 the year after that.
Okay, so he'll play those 2 years.
He'll play it through 27.
Yeah, and then he'll be done.
He'll make another $100 million, $115 million, and that'll be that.
Yeah, that'll be that. Not a bad retirement.
Not a bad. Yeah, I guess he signed an extension because it's showing it as a 2-year contract that starts this year. So I guess they extended him in the middle of the season. I'm curious though. To me, and we can move on from this, but I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Pretty sure Giannis is going to go to New York. I think that's what's going to happen, and this is only going to further make me further believe that.
Yeah, I think he'll end up in New York.
Yeah, I mean, look, and we've said this before. They fucked up firing Mike Budenholzer. They just did. It's been a downward spiral since they did that. The 5 years Mike Budenholzer was the head coach, the Milwaukee Bucks were the #1 defense in the NBA over that 5 years.
Did him and Giannis, I know your dad always claims they didn't like each other, but is that actually true?
No, it wasn't true at all.
Yeah, he was like, oh, he doesn't like Bud. I was like, I don't think that's necessarily
not true at all. No, I think he actually really liked Bud. Bud turned him into what he was. He was like not even an all-star when Bud got there, and he was an MVP and an NBA champion when he left.
So is Giannis, it's Giannis's last year next year on the deal? I think it is. I think it's one more year.
He's like one more after this one?
No, like this coming next year is the last year in his contract.
He has he's got 2 more and then a player option in 27.
Whatever. They should just honestly, I know.
Well, they should trade him.
I know. Honestly, I mean, the thing is, I don't know. It's a tough situation. He'll be a Buck next year for sure, and then you'll have to have the conversation with him and be like, hey, just let it. We obviously want you to be a Buck for life, but just be honest with us. If you want to go, let us trade you.
He's looked more frustrated over the last couple years since they got rid of Bud, and maybe he didn't hate the idea of getting rid of Bud, but it was like he's realizing the grass isn't greener, right? Like you got fucking Adrian Griffin. They fired him after half a season. Now you're stuck with fucking Doc Rivers. I mean,
I forgot Doc's there.
Yeah, and Doc is just terrible. I mean, he is so bad. He's rising on the list of most overrated coaches of all time and worst coaches to ever win an NBA championship. I mean, you take away that 1 year, he's terrible. I mean, he really is. He's not a good coach, and he's coached nothing but talent. I mean, literally nothing. He's had nothing but excellent talent on his teams, and he never wins. He's never even been back to a fucking NBA Finals. I don't even know if he's been back to a conference finals since that Celtics team.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Like a couple maybe after they won that year, maybe they were in the conference finals, but since like 2010, I don't think he's been to a conference finals. They've been fucking horrible. Okay.
And thank God, I forgot. Here in a couple weeks, we'll be able to talk real basketball. WNBA's back, folks.
It's on my notes.
Oh my God!
Saturday at noon.
What a treat!
Fever Mystics preseason.
One of these days, I'm just gonna
Clark.
walk in your house, not pay attention, and there'll be WNBA on. I'm like, oh God, it's preseason WNBA.
Okay, last series, and I just want to show the video here because it's Clippers. I'm sorry, it's Pistons versus Knicks. Did you see the end of this game?
No.
So it was a back and forth game. The Pistons were actually down big in the first half, come all the way back, take a double-digit lead in the fourth. There's some crazy shot-making back and forth, and Karl Anthony Towns hits like just an absolutely ridiculous 3 here to put the Knicks up by 1 with 50 seconds to go from like 30 feet.
Step back.
Yeah, I mean, unreal shot. They go up by
From
1.
Cat.
Okay, and both teams trade misses. The Pistons had the ball with 11 seconds to go, and this is basically, again, similar to that Rockets to stay alive in the series. Cunningham misses.
Oh.
Looks like it's loose here. Ball gets knocked out, and it's going to find Tim Hardaway Jr., who was awesome in this game. He launches this and misses. And the controversy is that this was a foul. And it's not a question. It was a foul. You're going to see it again here. Bickerstaff's losing his mind, and probably rightfully so. Now, they let a ton of contact go in this game. So it's hard for me to be like, well, that probably happened a lot throughout the game. But if you look at it, and I'm actually glad they didn't call it. But if you look at this shot, just purely looking at this, and you ask me, is this a foul or not? And you tell me your opinion. I mean, is it minimal? Yes. But usually on a shooter in the NBA,
yeah, it's one of those deals that that's always called. But
this one's the one
in the circumstances.
That one especially looks like he got hit.
It was a foul.
It was a foul.
But I mean, you just never get those calls at the end of the game.
Yeah.
So
okay, so that's all those series 3-1. We'll see. Maybe a team can come back in honor of all the 3-1 deficits. I have a little top 5 or a 5. I'm gonna see if I can do it because I didn't look this up. But I think I actually know all of them. So there's been 13 teams in the NBA history to ever come back from a 3-1 deficit. 5 have done it since 2010. Okay? I'm going to see if I can name all 5 of the ones who have come back since 2010.
No fucking idea.
And in my head, I think I'm right, but I might need you to look it up and tell me.
The Spurs probably did it once, huh?
See if you no, I don't think the Spurs ever did it.
We never did it?
I know one for sure. Okay? Back in 2015, and I could be, the years are going to be fuzzy for me here, but I'm going to say 2015, I think, is when this was. So we had the Rockets versus the Clippers. The Rockets were down 3-1 to the Clippers. This was back with Chris Paul. Chris Paul was actually injured when the Clippers went up 3-1. He came back and played, and they blew the entire series. And I just remember Josh Smith absolutely going bonkers in 2 of the games for the Rockets. I think Kevin McHale was still the coach. That's the first one I remember. That was back in 2015, I think. I don't know if you're looking at a list or not.
Yeah, you got that one right. 2015,
now,
Rockets, Clippers.
Okay, I know 2 in 2016 because it was heartbreak for me. The first one was the worst. It was the Thunder. They were up 3-1 on the 73-win Warriors.
Yep.
They had a Game 6 at home. They were up double digits heading into the fourth quarter. They won, I believe they won every quarter in that game. And I remember watching this in Port Aransas, and they blew it, and Klay Thompson went absolutely nuts at the fourth quarter, and then they ended up winning in 7 games.
That was 2016.
And then we had the following series where the Cleveland Cavaliers were down 3-1, and you had the Draymond Green suspension, and the Cavs end up coming all the way back, and you have the blocked by James and the big Kyrie 3 to win win the championship. That was the comeback. Now, I was thinking about this, and I know one of these is right for sure. I think this is true though. So I'm pretty sure that the other 2 were both the Denver Nuggets in the bubble. And I think they did it in the same year.
Yeah, in 2020.
2020, right. So it was the first one they were playing the Jazz with Donovan Mitchell.
Yep.
And they were down 3-1, and then they came back and won. And then the following series, literal series, they did the exact same thing with Jokic and Murray. They were down 3-1 to the Clippers. And I only remember that because Chris Paul's the only player in NBA history to blow 2 3-1 series deficits. Shout out to Chris Paul. He's a trailblazer, history maker.
Yep.
Blew a 3-1 deficit for the second time. That was in, as you said, 2020 in the bubble. So those are the 5 last that I remember. I think that's the only ones. I think those are the 5 3-1 deficits in the past history.
Since
2010, since in the past.
No, 2006.
Since 2006. Who was the last one in 2006?
Suns, Lakers.
Oh, I didn't even know that happened. The Suns came back against the Lakers? Yeah, it must have been.
Yep.
Yeah, it must have been.
Yep.
Wow. Those were the old days. So anyway, that's my
that's impressive.
Good memory for that comeback.
Yeah, you really do.
All right. Let's move on. Let's go to some NFL draft. Give me a big winner, or let's start with big winners.
I think the Giants are the big winner of the draft. I told you draft night. They got Abdul Carter, who I think is the best player in the draft. I like him a lot. I mean, up there. I mean, I think he's a good player, and they ended up trading back, in later into the first round and getting Jackson Dart, and that's who they wanted. So I think they got I think they had a really good draft. I would make them the winners. And the other one I'll say is I will have to and I know they got Shedeur in the 5th, but I like the Browns draft too. They picked up an extra first round pick after trading all those ones away from Deshaun Watson, getting they get the kid from Michigan that they wanted, right? Interior defensive lineman.
Mason Graham.
Yeah, they got Graham, and then they also got besides, they got Judkins, didn't they? They got Quinshon Judkins.
They got 2 running backs. They got him, and I think they got Dylan Sampson as well.
Okay, a little bit later.
They got both. Yeah.
And then obviously the one pick that I'm a little the Dylan Gabriel pick in the 3rd round was pretty crazy.
I don't get that at all.
I mean, I think Dylan Gabriel would have been there in the 5th round. I could be wrong, but anyway, to get both of them, and everybody's like, "What are the Cleveland Browns doing?" It's funny because they miss on every fucking quarterback they take. So it's like, I kind of like the strategy. You get Shedeur in the 5th, and I have no idea how he's going to be. I certainly didn't like him as a 1st-round quarterback, right? But for a 5th round, basically a free roll, why the hell not? See how it turns out. I mean, maybe this, obviously he's, the GMs didn't like his attitude, and I saw a clip actually on the way over here. Your dad's boy, Colin Cowherd, talking about it, that he said, like, something, Dable questioned something when he was he made a mistake in apparently Shedeur looked at him and said, maybe I'm just not the quarterback for you or something like that, and basically walked out of the room. That was how one of the interviews went. And then another one, a coach called him out, and this is coming from Colin Cowherd, that someone told him. And then another one, kind of the same situation. They give you situations where you're supposed to find the mistake in a play or whatever's going on, and they called him out that he missed it, whatever. I don't think they were like, ha, you're an idiot. They were just like, oh, no, you missed that one, and he didn't take that well.
Yeah.
But, obviously, it's not like that family needs the money, really. I know he would like to make more money, but it's like this could end up being the best thing for him. Like I said, I'm certainly not a huge fan by any stretch, but a 5th-round pick getting him, damn. I mean, that's it's definitely worth the free roll on that. The one pick that I question is Dylan Gabriel. I'm like, that's a crazy pick in the 3rd round. But like I told someone the other day, they were saying, what the hell are the Browns doing? They've missed on every quarterback. Maybe they're going to hit on one here. Now, Kenny Pickett's going to be gone out of that room. There's no point in keeping him around, right?
Yeah.
So it's like he'll get released, and then
they have 5 quarterbacks on the roster.
Right.
Who is it? So the 2 they drafted, they have Kenny
Flacco.
Pickett.
Flacco will be the starter. So the young guys will learn.
Who's the 5th guy?
I don't know. There's one more guy. It's Pickett, and I'm trying to remember who the other one is, but it was. There's all kinds of funny little memes and stuff going around.
Maybe it's just room. 4. I thought they said 5, but I don't know. Yeah, no, I am curious though, because let's say, I guess you're right. I guess that makes sense. They probably are going to get rid of Pickett now, because I guess you can't really. You got Gabriel in the 3rd. You're not going to cut him.
Oh no. Yeah, he's definitely
cut Shedeur.
Unless they tried to trade Gabriel somewhere, but I don't know. I think they're going to keep Gabriel and Shedeur, and they'll have Flacco as the starter, whatever, and that's the direction they're going to go. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl this year, right? They know they're not going to win the Super Bowl, so. Right. Go with Flacco. I mean, you can't learn.
Is Deshaun Watson still on the roster?
Yeah, but he's just got the torn Achilles. Yeah, no, he's on the roster.
So
yeah.
that's the
guy.
Then, I guess.
Yeah.
But
sorry.
So, I guess yeah. So then probably the only other thing I could see happening would be if they really don't like Shedeur, or he's like a problem in the locker room.
Oh, then sure, you can get rid of
Pickett and putting him on the practice squad or something like that.
Well, correct. And they can, for a 5th rounder, if they end up like, oh, we were going to cut. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. It's for the Browns franchise who has never been able to find a quarterback. It's definitely worth the gamble in the 5th round.
It is worth the gamble. For him, I just thought. I guess if you think about it this way, if you think about it like, let's say they had taken Shedeur in the 3rd, and they'd taken Gabriel in the 5th, it would have been like, oh, that makes sense,
right?
I don't think Shedeur is great. By the way, do you know if that thing you sent me and my dad?
Oh, breaking news! Stephen Castle wins Rookie of the Year.
Let's go.
I mean, we all knew that was coming, but yeah, that's breaking news. As of 20 minutes ago.
Oh, Jonathan just texted me. Let's go back-to-back Rookies of the Year. Yeah, I think that's only the 3rd time in NBA history that's happened. That's that the same team won Rookie of the Year back-to-back. Usually because when you get the Rookie of the Year, you improve a lot. But when you have Brian Wright as your GM and you have Mitch Johnson as your head coach, that's a problem. By the way, my dad saw Pop this weekend. Shout out Pop. Hopefully he's recovering from his second spiel with falling over there.
Him and Big Dog had lunch together.
That's
and
not
talked over the organization.
They said hi to each other.
That's true, right, Bailey? They had lunch?
That's not true at all.
Can he confirm? Okay, Bailey's shaking his head.
He's not shaking his head. He didn't even move.
He's shaking his head. Yes.
I'm looking at him.
Bailey's confirmed.
Anyway, okay. Do you know, though, if that thing you sent me and my dad where it was talking about how Shedeur had...
Oh, I have no idea if that's true or not, but I mean, that was circulating.
I'm just going to read a few things from it because it's actually hilarious. So it said... So essentially, this was from a GM or a scout. The assessment was true, but it was severely sugarcoated. Imagine Terrell Owens, his father, Chad Johnson, and Jim McMahon multiplied by 10,000. The individual wore so much cologne to the interview that the coach suggested they go for a walk because he was concerned the individual might faint from the overpowering scent. He wore headphones around his neck playing music throughout the entire interview and brought his entire entourage into the building. In my 33 years in the NFL, I've never encountered a prima donna of this caliber. When the coach asked where he envisioned himself in 5 years, his reply was mayor of the city, followed by a loud laugh and clapping, which I can literally see him doing. Quarterback skills are mediocre at best. If he was in the SEC, he wouldn't have even been in the conversation because he would never have even started. And then you talk a little bit more about, nobody wants Dion and ESPN crying racism if they draft the kid and it doesn't go well and they lose their first 4 or 5 games and people are blaming him in the media. And look, I guess my question is this, because I want to talk about Shedeur for a second, and then we'll go back to winners and losers just since you brought him up. Have you ever seen a fall like this, though? Because I will say this.
No. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
No, I've never seen anything like it. And I'm curious just your opinion, because here's my thing, right? This is the most bottom line league in professional sports in America and really in the world. If you are good, if you are talented, unless you are like a legal issue, right? Like, unless you're like, they're legally not sure if you did something, right?
Right. Like, that's why Bond didn't get drafted, right?
Sexual assault allegations.
Right. That's why he didn't get done.
Again, alleged sexual assault, but that's why he doesn't get drafted. But he was like probably a 5th round pick at best. Okay. And then I think that's where he was projected, 4th or 5th round. I could be wrong, but that's where I think he was. And he doesn't get drafted. But look, like Joe Mixon beat his girlfriend, got drafted in the 2nd round, right? The next year. You have teams willing to overlook things if the talent is there.
Right.
So the fact that all 32 teams, every single one of them, passed on him for 143 picks after a lot of people had him as the 2nd best quarterback in the draft, at least the 3rd. I don't know that anybody had him beyond the 3rd best quarterback in the draft. And to be honest, he probably is the 3rd best quarterback in the draft talent-wise.
I think so too. I don't think it's a stretch. I think, like you said, we had the conversation that it's like, hey, if you're not drafting a guy to be a franchise quarterback, if you're drafting him in the 1st or 2nd round, you think the guy can be your franchise quarterback and a guy you want to be a starter, right?
Yep.
Everybody after that is going to be a backup. So if that's where they thought he was talent-wise, now there's probably some people that thought maybe he could be a little bit better and that he could be a starter, right? Or whatnot, but they just didn't want to. They're not drafting him to start right away. They didn't want to deal with the drama. I think it was kind of that simple, And the Browns, who have missed on everybody forever, were like, holy shit, we can get him in the 5th. Let's just take a shot on it. Who cares?
Yep.
And, half their war room, when you saw the videos, the guys are like,
nobody cared.
Or you're like, oh, God, this could go real bad.
Are you
for a 5th rounder, it doesn't matter.
Are you surprised, though, that somebody didn't do that in the 3rd or why do you think it took all the way to the 5th? Because that's pretty fucking deep.
Because when you look at it, there was only, there was the Giants, the Titans were the teams that were going to draft to take a starter right now, right?
Yep.
And then the Saints liked, what's his name?
I want to talk about that later.
Chuck.
Not yet.
And that's who they liked. So once they were off the board, right, there was no one drafting a quarterback really to come in and play right away. So I think that's why you saw him, fall that low. And no team's like, hey, we're going to bring this guy in to bet. Now, if there's a team that liked, if his attitude was a little bit better and, they were like, hey, this guy could turn into something. We have a little bit of an older quarterback, but he's going to be willing to come in and learn, right? Then from there, it works out much better. So, I don't know. I think that's what happened.
Any other big winners, to go back to that real quick? Any other big winners from the NFL draft?
Those are my 2 that I was like I said, I know a lot of people thought the Browns draft was a little crazy, but I think they did the right thing.
And so I'm trying to think, speaking about the Cowboys real quick, let me do my biggest winners.
Yeah.
I agree. I think you're probably right. I think we had the way the Browns played it was just smart. They also, in addition to the things you mentioned, picked up a 1st round pick next year, right? They got a bunch of extra picks, but specifically a 1st rounder from the Jaguars, which could potentially be a good pick next year, right? Moving back. I thought that was the best move of the draft, because at 2, they knew they weren't taking Shedeur, which is what people thought they might do, or they were going to take Abdul Carter. They didn't want to do that. The Jags wanted wanted Travis Hunter. They knew he probably wouldn't fall to them at, what were they, 5? And so you move back, 3 picks. You still get Mason Graham, which you wanted a defensive interior lineman anyway to help with the run defense. And now you trade back and get 2 quarterbacks, like you said. You have a shot, maybe one of them. Shedeur, whatever you want to say about him, like you said, value-wise, that's a huge win, right? Getting him in the 5th round. And I just like their haul in general. I liked what they did. Trying to look at the other teams. You said you did like what the Giants did, going with Jackson Dart and Abdul Carter.
Yeah, because I think they wanted Jackson Dart. Yeah. Obviously, they wanted Cam Ward, but Cam Ward was going to go number 1. So it's like, hey, we can get Jackson Dart at 25. Then, and I don't even think they gave up a ton to move. Like, was it a 3rd? Or I can't remember what that. Let's see, what that if it says on here what they gave up.
The other, real quick, while you're looking at that. The other team I liked what they did was the New England Patriots. They went out and got Will Campbell, and I know people made a big deal about his arm length in the draft combine. I think he's the best offensive lineman in the draft.
Yeah.
And I look at which teams addressed what they needed to address. The Patriots needed to address offensive line. They did that in the draft. They got the best offensive lineman in the draft in Will Campbell, and then they went out in the 3rd round, and they got Jared Wilson, who was, I believe, the number 1 center on the board. So they had in the entire draft. So they got the best offensive tackle, and they got the best center on the board in the 1st and the 3rd round. And then they added a few other pieces that I liked. They got Travion Henderson, the running back out of Ohio State, who I think has, he's a big pounding back with explosiveness, 5'10", 200 pounds. I like what they did. They're building around Drake May. They got a receiver in the 3rd round. I think it was Kyle Williams, the receiver out of Washington State, who's pretty darn good. He had a really good season. He's kind of a speedster. I would have liked to see them go with one more receiver. Maybe instead of Henderson, they could have gone with the receiver higher up than that, but I liked what they did. I think they're going to build around Drake May. I'm really high on May, and I think that I
think Drake May is really good. Yeah.
And now they've got a good coach in there, and so it's like I kind of like the direction they're going.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a good draft.
Biggest losers for you?
Man,
I can go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
My biggest loser. My biggest losers were the New Orleans Saints. Okay. So I just don't understand. Like the Tyler Shuck pick alone to me is one of the more baffling things. I just, the guy is going to be 26 years old. He played fucking 13 years in college football. But I don't even know, a month ago, was he even like projected to be drafted? I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, it was one of those, it's like it always happens in the draft. There's one guy, right, that is like, shoots up the board. And he's how old? He's 20 what? You said
25. He'll be 26 next month.
Yep.
26 years old. Look, I've watched this kid play in college. He was a mediocre college quarterback at best. He reminds me of like, that kid who played typical Northwestern quarterback. But you'll see these Northwestern quarterbacks who go to the NFL. I forget the kid's name who barely didn't even play that much in college. And like ends up being a career backup. Like Tyler Shuck to me is a career backup quarterback. He's a career backup quarterback. Is he better than Spencer Rattler? I don't think so, and I don't think Spencer Rattler's any good. I just don't understand going there when you had Shedeur Sanders on the board there. I thought that was a mistake. Even could have gotten him in the 3rd. Could have gotten him they had 2 picks in the 3rd, 2 picks in the 4th. You could have gotten at 2. They had a high pick in the 2nd round. They could have addressed another offensive lineman. I didn't hate I like the Kelvin Banks pick first. But you could have addressed another offensive lineman. You could have gotten another skill position guy. They could have added a running back with Alvin Kamara going out. And there was plenty of running backs in this draft. And they go with Tyler Shuck. I just don't get it. To me, that was a huge mistake,
right?
By an organization that just keeps making mistakes. You hire Kellen Moore. I don't get that, but they were a big loser for me. You got a loser?
Yeah, I didn't like what the rest of the draft was okay. I just don't know why the Bears drafted Colston Loveland in the 1st round.
I don't get it either.
I mean, Cole Kmet's definitely serviceable. He's a pretty solid tight end, and it's just like, you have so many issues with the offensive line, right? I mean, it's just, and I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know exactly who they signed in free agency. Maybe they addressed all that. I'm not too sure.
But they only drafted one offensive lineman.
Yeah, so I just don't love the pick there. I think they should have gone offensive line. If I were them, I would have taken Booker before the Cowboys, and like go get him.
Sure.
And who knows? Maybe they wanted Kelvin Banks that pick before. You know what I mean? Maybe Banks is off the board, so they wanted Loveland. But I don't know. I just don't know why you go tight end there. I address other issues for sure.
And if you are going to go tight end there, Tyler Warren was still on the board.
Right.
I didn't understand that. I thought Tyler Warren was by far the best tight end in the draft. Their skill set's a little bit different, right? Like Tyler Warren's more of a do-it-all guy. I think Colston Loveland's probably receiving-wise maybe be a little bit better.
Right.
But I don't get that at all. They did get who did the Bears draft? That the receiver they drafted? It was
the kid from Missouri,
Luther Burden the third.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's all right. I don't hate that. I don't mind. I don't think he's great, but I don't disagree with you. I thought the Cowboys were a loser in general, just for the fact that they didn't get Ashton Genty.
Right.
And that was kind of like what. But I also just hated how they look. Tyler Booker is fine. I think that's great. But a lot of people said that he was like borderline a first-round pick on the big board. Now, was he the best guard? Probably, right? And they wanted to fill that Zach Martin position that they lost. But like value-wise, they were like, you probably could have traded back 10 picks and still got him and added draft capital. That's what a lot of people thought.
Yeah.
Maybe not, because you have best available at a position. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he does go earlier, which is what they're thinking. But they seem to be happy with the pick. I don't hate the pick, but I don't like that we didn't get Ashton Genty. I also thought we should have drafted more offensive linemen because we still didn't get a running back. We drafted Jaden Blue, who didn't even start for his own team this year in college. We drafted him like in the 5th round. So you waited and didn't even get a running back, and you drafted one other offensive lineman the whole draft. I would have just gone offensive line. Maybe that's dumb, but I just think that's the most important thing that you do. Build around there. And then I'll go one more if you want to add any. But to me, Quinn Ewers, biggest loser of the draft in terms of like players other than Shedeur Sanders, obviously.
Right.
He was offered, I don't know what the actual number is, reported somewhere between $4 to $8 million, probably closer to 4. Regardless, even say on the safe side, say it's 4. Carson Beck got 4 to go to Miami. So he gets $4 million, $5 million to come back to college. He instead ends up getting drafted in the 7th round by the Miami Dolphins. Now, you did make a good point. If there was a good spot for him to go, that's probably it, right? The backup quarterback is Skylar Thompson.
Right.
He's probably better than Skylar Thompson.
They signed
right now.
So I looked it up. It's actually Zach Wilson.
Okay, even same thing though, right? Like,
right. You probably make the argument that listen, Zach Wilson's slightly better than Skylar Thompson, but it's the ideal position if you're Quinn and you're any good and you show up. Like I said, Tua's one hit away from retirement, and I obviously don't wish that upon him, but that's just the reality of it with
no, you're right.
The way he's gone down.
No, you're 100% right. And it's like, okay, if you are Quinn Ewers, or if you're the Dolphins organization and you're like, okay, we have Quinn and Zach head to head here, and they're pretty fucking close, and we're not going to be a playoff team this year. Who are we going to give a shot to? Probably more likely they're going to let Quinn play and see what they have, right? So he may get his shot earlier or sooner than some of these other guys. But the reason I think he's the biggest loser, A, is the money, right? He's going to make $800,000 a year over the next 4 years, getting drafted in the 7th round. Right. Instead of making, he would have made more. He would have made more than his entire contract, right, in one season staying in college, and still been able to come out. And I think next year's draft class and quarterback-wise is even worse than this year's, especially if Arch Manning doesn't come out. So I thought he should have stayed. But just look at the quarterbacks that came off the board before him, right? So obviously Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Shedeur Sanders, that was expected. But then you had Jalen Milroe, Tyler Shuck, Dylan Gabriel, Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Riley Leonard, Graham Mertz, Cam Miller from North Dakota State, and Curtis Rourke. He was the last quarterback taken in this draft out of, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 quarterbacks, okay? And he was going into the season projected as a first-round pick.
Yep.
So it's just a huge drop, right? It's just a big loss.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
But looking at his dad's trophies that he has on the wall, he spent well over $5 million shooting animals, so I don't think they need the money anyway. He'll be fine.
Okay. Most likely guy in the top 10, and I'm putting you on the spot here, most likely guy in the top 10 to completely bust. Who is the most likely guy in the top 10 to completely bust? And I can read them to you if you want.
McMillan.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
He could just, I get that everybody thinks he's got to be good, but there's been all kinds of big receivers that have gone early in the draft that end up just being, dog shit. It happens. So
that's actually probably the best possibility.
Yeah. He could be great, but I'm just saying. I mean, you don't know until they get out there and play the game. So
I don't think this is true, but I could say I agree with you. I think it's probably a McMillan. If I had to pick a second one, this is more just because I don't think a lot of these guys are very bust high, but I would probably say Mason Graham.
Right.
Just because defensive tackles drafted high can get lost in the shuffle sometimes, and if he doesn't stand out early and doesn't get lots of snaps, then maybe. But I think he's good. I think he's really good. I don't see a lot of. I mean, Cam Ward, I think has a pretty high ceiling, and he has got a pretty high floor.
Right.
Travis Hunter, same thing, because he's going to find one of the two places to be effective. Abdul Carter, I almost think is a can't miss type of guy. Will Campbell, I think is kind of a can't miss type of guy. Maybe you could say Armand Mimbo, the offensive tackle out of Missouri. I don't really know a lot about him, but the only reason I would say
nothing
him.
about him. Yeah.
But even like Colston Loveland, I think he's going to be solid. Kelvin Branks is going to be solid. All these guys are it's a pretty good draft. I will give it to him. It's a pretty darn good draft. Okay. Give me your rookie of the year. Who's going to win Rookie of the Year?
Cam Ward, Tennessee Titans, baby.
Do you think Cam Ward?
He's going to lead them to how many wins, Bailey? 6? Oh, Bailey's only giving them 4. I'm going to say they're going to win 6.
I'm actually going to say, okay, it's prefaced by if he starts.
5 or 6.
If he starts, I think Jackson Dart wins Rookie of the Year. I do. I think he actually will end up. He's going to have him throwing to neighbors.
Oh yeah. That definitely helps.
I think Dayball might kind of go back towards the old Josh Allen style offense. He's going to have a guy who he trusts finally. But we'll see if he actually starts there. I know they've got Russell Wilson on the roster,
Russie,
and of course they've got Tommy DeVito. So we don't know if he'll get the job.
Gotta love Tommy.
I do want to play news or fake news in a second, and we're basically almost done here, but. In honor of talking about the NFL draft and just doing the stream, I'm going to go through my top 5 NFL draft busts here for you.
Okay. Let's hear 'em.
So number 5, or no, let's go with the honorable mention. No, we'll just go top 5. All right, top 5 NFL draft busts, and we'll say of my lifetime or since 2000 or 98 because I'm going to include Ryan Leaf because I'm not going too far back. But we're going to start with number 5, and we're going to go with Justin Blackmon. Okay, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. He went 5th overall in 2012 to the Jaguars. The Jaguars moved up to get him in that draft. They gave up multiple picks to move up, and he actually had 64 catches for 865 yards in his first season. And funny enough, before the draft, I believe a GM said that he thought that Blackmon was essentially, quote, Des Bryant, but with all his brain cells. Apparently that was wrong because he lasted about 2 more years before getting kicked out of the league, suspensions left and right. He played 4 games the next 2 years and then got arrested the other day, and he looked like a different, you wouldn't know who the guy was looking at him now. He's absolutely wild. But he's number 5 for me. Number 4, this is going to be weird, I think. I think you might not push back on this, but people might. Robert Griffin III, Baylor, okay? 2012 second overall pick to the Washington Redskins. All right, the Skins were picking 6th in this draft. They gave up 3 first-round picks to the Rams in order to move up and get Robert Griffin III. Look, I do know, I'm very aware he won Rookie of the Year his first year. Mm-hmm. It was absolutely bullshit that he won it. Andrew Luck took the Colts from 2-14 to 11-5 and was by far the best rookie of that year, and they gave it to Robert Griffin III. But after that year, he did have an injury, and he was never the same. 16-26 as a starter, played 8 years, but was only a starter for 2 seasons, essentially, and then busted out of the league and never lived up to his potential. I mean, this is a guy who was the best player in the state of Texas growing up. He was a Heisman Trophy winner. He was a number 2 overall pick, and he wins Rookie of the Year, and then he just completely falls off a fucking cliff. That's number 4 for me. Number 3, we're going to go with my dad's boy, Trey Lance. North Dakota State quarterback, 2021, 3rd overall pick by the San Francisco 49ers. They also traded 3 first-round picks to get him, to move up and get this guy. And he ended up starting 4 games. He started 4 games.
That was buying a lottery ticket right there. It's let's just see how it goes.
Yeah, but they spent $1 million.
Oh, no, that's what I mean.
Tickets.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
They were let's Dan Bilzerian when the Powerball gets up to $200 million. It's I'm going to buy $1 million worth of lotto tickets, even though it increases my odds by 0.1%, right? Made no sense. Think about how bad that class was in terms of busts. You had Zach Wilson 2nd, Trey Lance 3rd, Justin Fields 11th, Mac Jones 15th.
Yeah,
that was that was one of the worst bust quarterback drafts ever. Number two, coming in number 2 is maybe the most known one of all time, Ryan Leaf, 1998, Washington State, Wazoo. Shout out Fighting Mike Leach's, rest in peace. Rest in peace, King. San Diego Chargers take him 2nd overall. He started 18 games in his entire career, 4-14 as a starter. They didn't even trade him. They cut him in 2000. They cut him.
It's crazy.
And then he ended up becoming addicted to drugs, and he's got his life on track, and good for him. Like, I'm happy for him. I don't think he's a bad dude, but he had a lot of issues back then, and that was one of the biggest busts ever. But the number 1 bust of all time, you got to know where I'm going with this, right?
I mean, I think so.
Where?
Number 1 bust of all time?
Yeah. This is simple.
More than Ryan Leaf?
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's a bigger bust.
Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, yeah.
Jamarcus Russell, biggest bust of all time, 2007, because he went 1st overall.
Right. Well, and he got so much more money, too.
And he got so much more money because they had to actually change the rule because of him. He went to the Oakland Raiders. He played 3 seasons, 7-18 as a starter, completing 52% of his passes for 18 touchdowns and 23 picks. And he infamously was given a DVD by one of the assistant coaches, and he was told, hey, I want you to look at the DVD. There's 20 plays on here. Tell me which ones you like. The next day, the coach asked him, hey, which plays did you like? And Jamarcus said, oh, man, all of them. I liked all of them. I could run anything. Just tell me any one. I'll run all those plays. I like all of them. And the coach sat there looking at him with a dumbfounded look on his face because the DVD was completely blank, and he never even put the DVD in the player and watched a single second of film. And that's why he was 7-18 as a starter. That's why he busted out of the NFL in 2 years.
Gunslinger.
Yeah.
One of the greatest arms of all time.
The definition. Now, Jamarcus has not gone away, by the way. Jamarcus, in just 2023, was working as a volunteer assistant for his former high school, Williamson High School in Mobile, Alabama, his alma mater. And he approached a booster and asked the booster for $74,000 to help renovate the weight room. He then immediately deposited the check and withdrew $55,000 and pocketed the money. And he then got fired and is currently getting sued. And the trial was set for 2024, but has not happened yet. So,
I didn't know that.
Yep. He stole $55,000 from his former high school, told the booster that he needed it for the weight room, took it, pocketed it, and the rest is history. But that's Jamarcus for you. He's the number 1 bust of all time.
Number 1 bust, no doubt about it.
All right, let's go.
No doubt about it.
Last one, we'll go news or fake news here.
All right, let's hear it.
And then we're out of here. Number 1, the NFL is considering a rule change to the revamped kickoff structure that would make a touchback bring the ball out to the 35-yard line.
That's true.
That is fake news because this has been approved by the NFL. It is fake news. Thank you very much.
So fucking stupid. I didn't know we're getting into technicalities
fake news.
here.
Bailey, would you agree? Is that fake news if they approved it already?
No.
Okay,
it was a fucking Mickey Mouse question.
Making a change.
Yeah.
No, because the reason I don't.
It's because I'm too fucking good at this game.
Wrong. No, the reason I say that is because we actually had this conversation when he was over the other day, and I go, did they pass that rule or are they just considering it? So I think with that context, specifically, that is fair to say it that way. And I don't
recall that conversation.
We can roll back the tape. We can do an instant replay. I emphasize the word considering. That is fake news. Loser. Okay, moving on. Wrong. All right. There's your my terrible Trump impersonation.
Yeah, that is real bad.
Fuck you, all right? I did a great Jerry.
You did a good Jerry. I gave you compliments.
Thank you for that. Okay, after being drafted 144th overall by the Cleveland Browns, Shedeur Sanders hosted a party in Dallas that was attended by a number of stars, including Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb.
I'm going to say first of all, I'm going to say it's false, but it's probably false because he was actually picked 145th, not 144th.
I wouldn't do that. That specific one was because of the context of our conversation.
Okay, all right.
This is actually news. And not only were Dak and CeeDee Lamb, after he was drafted 144th overall, Kodak Black was there as well, the rapper. Don't know who that is, but I read that.
It's one of Bailey's boys. He's a big Kodak Black guy.
Yeah, but
he's nodding his head yes.
He did not let a 5th-round draft pick and falling 140 spots get him down. Nope. He was out partying in Dallas and having a good time and dancing with his brother. By the way, did you see? They all made the big deal because it ended up being it was Jeff Ulbricht's son.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So what's funny though is, and I saw somebody's put this on Instagram. They were like, nobody gave a shit when this happened to Cooper DeJean last year, and it was a video, and the same exact thing happened to Cooper DeJean. Somebody prank called him, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna take you or whatever, and then he gets up and he's like, no, it was a prank, and everybody there is just laughing, and it's like, oh, it's funny. It's a dick move. I'm not saying I agree with it, and it was a dick move, but if it was gonna happen to anybody, I'm glad it happened to Shedeur. I mean, he kind of deserves it. He's such a pretentious fucking asshole that I'm just kind of glad that it did.
Yeah.
Wearing a $100,000 chain and walking out of interviews acting like, I'm God's gift to earth. He's fucking annoying. Anyway, all right. Number 3. The number 1 ranked Texas Longhorn baseball team won their series over Texas A&M 2-1 after winning the final game 6-5. And I wouldn't have changed the score on you.
That's fake news because they won the first 2 games, not the third one.
They won all 3. So
It's
fake news because they won.
Well, I know they won the first 2.
They did win the third game 6-5. Okay. But they also won the first 2 games. They swept the Texas A&M Aggies.
Yeah.
Shout out Longhorns. Hook 'em. Down go the Aggies. We just dominate them in everything. And yes, I say we, even though I didn't go there. I went to TU, not UT, all right?
That's right.
Better academic school. Anthony Edwards was fined $50,000 by the NBA for telling a Lakers fan, quote, "My dick bigger than yours." News or fake
I think
news?
that's true.
That is news.
I remember seeing that video, yeah.
He said, "My dick bigger than yours."
Yep.
And not only is that news, but Ant-Man has actually had quite the season. He led the league in technical fouls. He picked up his 16th towards the end of the season, which also resulted in a suspension. He then picked up 17 and 18, which would have been an additional game suspension, but 18th one got rescinded. He also led the NBA in fines this season. This season alone, he was fined 7 different times for a total of $370,000 for various infractions, including cursing in a post-game interview, gestures towards officials, and of course the dick grab towards the Lakers fan the other night. Some might say this behavior is inappropriate. But as Turner likes to say, that's just called living life. Right. You just got to keep living, brother. LIVIN.
That's who he is.
And that's who
you got to be true to yourself.
But I will say this. He does make a lot of money. But when he's averaging, 6 figures and mid-6 figures in fines for grabbing his dick, and he's paying multiple women a year $1.2 million in child support.
They should make his fines go towards child support. That should be that's a fair trade-off.
That is a good fair trade-off. Oh,
yeah, go towards the kids.
Yeah, he's got to pay.
He can make his own charity called Ant's Kids, and it's literally all his children. It has nothing to do with them, but it's the charity money goes to them, shared equally.
That's the best.
I don't know if that's allowed, but I like the idea.
He puts it in a mutual fund,
yes,
that grows or a trust that grows and is invested in the market. And by the time his kids are 18,
right,
if they didn't make it to the NBA, they get their share of it.
Right.
If they did make it to the NBA, then they forfeit the right because then yes,
right,
obviously.
That's right.
And he was talking about it. He had his daughter in the crowd the other night. By the way, I don't know which one, but he had his daughter there. And he was he had to clarify. He said her name because he said my daughter, and then he said her name because I think everybody was like, well, which one? Because there's 9 of them. Anyway, yeah. Shout out Anthony Edwards for being a badass and getting fined $370,000 a year. That's actually like 4 times more than Angel Reese's salary in the WNBA.
Yeah, it is.
He pisses excellence and he pisses money. It's just what Anthony Edwards does.
He really does.
All right. Quickly, do you want anything on the NHL playoffs? You want to say anything about the playoffs real quick? I know we're probably
we went over. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about them. We'll talk about them once the first round's over.
Yeah, I mean, the first round has been great, obviously. We had that Kings-Oilers series is great. But anyway, thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Slobberknocker Sports Podcast. As always, make sure to like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Support us by giving a comment below. That helps a lot, even though it's a small thing. And hitting that like button helps us as well. As we're trying to grow the channel and maybe get some sponsors. Shout out Jeff Davis. Shout out Zito's, our typical guy. Shout out Tito's Vodka. Yeah. By the way, Brad Zito's got a podcast that gets shot at Zito's.
Oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah, Formula One. It's called Half Serious. So go check out that podcast as well.
Yeah,
Half
definitely.
Serious. Subscribe to their podcast. But thanks again for tuning in. Enjoy NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, and we will catch you guys next week.